All right. Happy Tuesday night, gang. We are here. So let's get the show on the road and see what it is on everybody's mind tonight. We'll start with what's on mine once we can know that you guys can see me and hear me. And TikTok, TikTok. Okay, I got Farm Ranch and just 5x5. That's good. Prep Rebel being hard ass he always is. Healthy Disrespect, Adam Hoffman, Yarn and Mama Reed. There we go. All right. Happy Tuesday, guys. I want to start with something. In case you aren't paying attention, which I hope you are. Last Tuesday, when we finished the live stream at 9 o'clock, silver was trading at $80.30. Right now, it's about 89.10. We're up $9 in a week. Okay, about 11-12% in a week, and you wonder what's going to happen going from there. It's just we're on the right side of history, guys. Anybody that's been putting silver away for God knows how long is certainly reaping the rewards of it right now. And I know somebody will ask, will I still buy it here? Absolutely. And I think I told you guys I just bought another roll of dimes there. Give me an idea. How many of y'all sort through your change? Not that you're going to get lucky that often anymore, but how many of you sort through your change looking for dimes or quarters that could potentially be pre 1965? I'd absolutely recommend it because give you this as an idea. At silver prices where they are right now, if you find a quarter, it's worth over $15. Okay. Just give you that as an idea, you know, to to think about what the guy in front of you may have paid with, and the cashier just gives you change and oh, here's an old beat up quarter, who cares? And you look at the side of it, and there's no little copper strip, and you go, that's silver. Nice. So pay attention to that stuff. You're not going to find that many in circulation anymore because pretty much everybody knows about it. But you always get lucky. Some kid who had it in his piggy bank didn't think about it and went and put it in a gumball machine, and the next thing you know, it's in the cash register at Walmart. So always check. You never know what you're going to find. Easiest, like I said, easiest way to look. If you turn on its side and look, if you don't see a copper ring on the edge of the quarter, take a look at the date closely and see what it is. So that was it. That's kind of funny. Other than that, uh, for those of you guys that saw my community post this afternoon, that was I was talking with a friend of mine, and we were discussing the uh, autistic Barbie, and I kind of joked to him. I'm like, "Yeah," I said, "the next thing we're gonna have is fat protest Barbie," and I'm like, "Okay, AI is wonderful for doing something like that in 5 minutes." It's like, draw me a picture of this, and that's what I got. I thought it was hilarious, and so I had to share that with you guys. It was just kind of funny. And he's like, "I got to share this with everybody." And it was, he said, it was going all over the place, and people were laughing hysterically. So just that was all in fun. I wasn't picking on any. Well, I was picking on the fat Karens who were out protesting, but that was it. Uh, we had the news today. It looks like the Supreme Court is going to side with Trump on the tariffs. So that's a good thing because that if they didn't, that would be an absolute debacle because then we'd wind up in a situation where all these countries would say they want $150 billion back from paying in tariffs, which I still cannot figure out how in the world that Supreme Court even has to get involved in this and why anybody in the US would go, you know what? We don't want the other countries to pay their fair share. We like paying them more money than they pay us. Liberal logic, go figure out. And then, of course, the most fun today is our DEI Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who has no business being on SCOTUS, got absolutely embarrassed today in the uh, hearings in regards to transgenders in women's sports. I mean, she just got obliterated. Uh, Sam Alito destroyed the liberal counsel, and conservative counsel just made Ketanji Brown Jackson look like she's a third year law student at, you know, Crackerjack University. I mean, congratulations on getting onto the Supreme Court as the first black female, because certainly you weren't the first qualified lawyer, or, qualified judge. The woman is a complete embarrassment to society. I mean, for her best interest, she should resign. Go, you know what? I'm not qualified for this job. I'm going to go get with my buddy Jasmine, and we're going to apply for jobs at Walmart. That would be more appropriate. But yeah, so that was the kind of fun today, and of course we've got everything going on with Iran. I mean, we'll see what happens there. I guess we're now over 600 people that have been killed by the Ayatollah's regime, and killing protesters. Uh, I love the comparison. It's like, why is it okay for Trump's people to kill protesters and not the Ayatollahs? Because Trump's people aren't killing them unless they're defending themselves. That would be the difference. Okay. Who's on the assault? That's a different story. But yeah, the only thing I didn't like today is Trump said help is on the way to the Iranian people, which means, hey, you know what? Let's send more money to another country to fix their problems while we've got chaos going here. That's the thing that gets me. So, all right, that would be the end of me yapping my mouth. Let's get into some Q&A. As per normal, you got questions for me, please put them in all caps in the chat room. That way I just know what's directed at me. Only rule, as for always, is treat each other in here, me and all of the people in the chat room, with a modicum of respect. Disagreement is totally fine. It's encouraged. If you disagree with what I say, that's how conversations start. I'm good with that. However, if you started out with, hey, asshole, you won't ever get a second sentence out. So just beware of that. That's what the moderators are here for, to keep this clean. So we will kind of go from there. All right. Let me get up to the top here. There's all the 5x5s and see what's on y'all's mind tonight. God knows what we'll talk about. Okay. Country humans. The U.S. Mint stopped selling ASE for 100. Glad I bought one at 630. I bought a Barber half dollar. Okay. Guys, please proofread your questions before you hit send. I have no idea what's said in there. So yeah. Make sure I can understand it. Prep Rebel. Can silver items be smelted down to make rounds? Yes. However, the hard part, you're going to have, I mean, individuals, us, sure, you get, I don't know, sterling silver, silver, grandma's old silver set, that you don't use anymore. So you're going to melt it down and you make a cast and you can make silver. The only problem is you're not going to know the purity of it. And so there's a big difference, just like there's a big difference between 12 karat and 14 karat and 18 karat and 20 karat and 24 karat gold. There's still different purities in silver too. And 95% silver is worth a lot less than 99.99% silver. And just because you put a stamp on it doesn't mean it's true. Uh, I would say it's probably not worth the effort. Can it be done? Sure. But I don't know. I think you might actually get better returns taking the jewelry to a jeweler and selling it, and when he says, okay, you know what, we'll give you this. It's like, well, spot value for the silvers is, if you go in armed with a little bit of knowledge, when he offers you less than spot, you're going, okay, this is jewelry. There should be some value in it. You just got to be a little bit intelligent when you're trying to sell the stuff, but putting all the effort in to, melt it down yourself, Mm, yeah, you can do it, but I don't really think it's worth it. That's my opinion. Okay. Da, da, da. Susan Lathrop, I sort my change and the change in the register at work too. I was to say, you work at a cash register and you got to count out your register every night, damn straight. You should be looking at every one of those quarters as you're counting them. You know, waitresses or whatever, bartenders. I mean, people that deal with a lot of coinage like that, or at least used to. Everything's on credit card now. But if you're dealing with a lot of change, you work in the grocery store or something like that, hell yeah. If I mean, if you find one quarter, pull it out of your purse, throw it in the register, don't steal it, just buy the quarter. Okay. It's fine. My register still comes out even, but you go, I got an extra 15 bucks here, and it's like an extra 2 hours worth of work. Thank you very much. Man, I'm gonna try to blow this thing up even more. Can I do that? All right, let's see if that helps. Maybe. I'm trying to blow this screen up enough so I can read it, guys. That's all. I told you about my eyes last week. Uh, Vicky Savage, KBJ, a third year law student, got in his DEI. Yeah, I just, yeah. Healthy disrespect. Have I ever grown celery in containers? I grew celery the first year we were here in the garden. I mean, in the ground. Uh, it was okay. It's a. I've never tried it in containers. Uh, it was okay. That's the best thing I can say for celery. Uh, if you eat a lot of celery, go for it. Just I will say with celery, be very careful because the critters love celery. But I've tried it one time. It wasn't worth my effort. I guess you will. It didn't come out well enough for the garden space I was using. And I try to grow stuff that I've got success with because again, it was the first year here, and I tried a little bit of everything to see what I could grow here, what worked and what didn't, and I haven't gone back to it. We don't eat a ton of celery, so that was more of an experiment to see. Right now, if I need, I mean, we had chicken wings for watching the Rose Bowl a week or so ago. Yeah, I bought a stock of celery for that's probably the first package of celery I've bought in 6 months. So that's how much celery we eat. T-Bone, lucky me. I just found a roll of Mercury dimes over the weekend. Was my dad's in a box. Yeah, you just found about 300 bucks. Very nicely done. That'll work very good. Now, whatever you do, don't sell them. I will give you this because I know this question comes up all the time. Where should silver go? And I told you at the beginning of the year, I think silver is going to hit 100 first quarter. I still think silver could hit 100 in January. Uh, I mean, hell, we're halfway there already, so that's a possibility. 120 should not be out of the question this year by any means, but I want to give you this just for thought. Fair value of silver compared to gold right now should be about $300 an ounce for silver. So when you're thinking about, do I want to buy it here at 90 bucks? Go, okay. Fair value of it would get it a triple from here. So just just the thought. Awakened. Did I miss my prediction video as I was out of town? No, it's still there. I put it up on January 1st. So just go back, let's say the 12th, probably go back about 20 videos uh, and you will see it. What did I title it? It is titled, bear with me. I'll go find it real quick. January 1st. It is titled Welcome to 2026 10 Predictions for the New Year. You should be able to find that one. So there's nothing cryptic in that one at all. SpaghettiOs. What would you do if you were boxed in by lesbian anti-ICE protesters as I was driving and unexpectedly came across a protest? Uh, I'm gonna assume they are just standing in front of me or surrounded because as soon as one pulls out a baseball bat or some sort of weapon, all bets are off. Okay, I will just leave it there. If they're just trying to block my path, I'm just gonna slowly keep creeping forward and pick up speed until they move, they move, they move, they move, they move. And unless it's like the moron in Memphis or it was either Memphis or Nashville the other day where there's a protest. He goes up in front of a stopped squad car, puts his hands up on it, and then falls backwards like he was hit and stands up, "You hit me, you hit me." And the cop's going, "Hey, I've got it all on camera, dude." You know. So I was kind of interesting there. But uh I'm going to protect myself. That's it. I don't care if it's dykes on bikes, doesn't make a difference to me. You threaten me, you are going to pay the price. You get in my way, I'm going to get you out of my way. I don't care. I'm a woman. You're in my way. That's it. Okay. So yeah, that would not be a problem. Susan Hills, you are looking really well since you started your carnivore. Was it keto diet? Well, thank you. It started as carnivore, then it went to keto because trust me, anybody who's done the carnivore diet knows it gets very, very boring eating just meat, especially when you love the garden and you're going, I'm growing all this stuff and I can't eat it. That doesn't make any sense. Uh, and sure, there's still things that you're growing that you're really not gonna eat. I mean, I've still got all these potatoes, and every once in a while, Mrs. P and I will crack out and have some potatoes with something like to make beef stew or something like that, and we'll put some potatoes in it. Uh, we have we have I mean, all that Jimmy Red corn I made last year, I haven't even done anything. I've shelled it, and that's it. But I've still got sweet corn left over from 2 years ago that's still in the freezer and still in cans that we haven't eaten, because there's so much sugar in corn. But the beans, the beets, the cabbage, the carrots, not that I grew the carrots, because my luck in carrots. Yeah, we do eat those. I mean, it's like tonight, Mrs. P made a chicken salad. So it was the chicken and a little bit of cabbage and some carrots and some onions and some radishes, and that was dinner. And it's like, okay, it's something a little different than steaks, which are too expensive to do. So we were doing a lot of chuck roast, which at least that was on sale. And we get those, a lot of pork chops, the fatty pork chops, because that's what you're looking for, and chicken thighs. And you get really bored eating the same thing every third day. It's like, okay, fine, it's chicken. I want something different. And so at least we finally decided it's like, all right, we're going to put the vegetables in there. So at least we can change it up a little bit. Please don't insult rocks. Okay. North Whittington Circle Farms. Hoss shipped my onion plants. How can I save them till plant? They shipped them already? I'd call them up and say, I mean, and if I'm not mistaken, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, think somebody different. North Wellington, I don't know where you are. Uh, so, yeah, I mean, unless you are the Gulf Coast or way down, deep down Texas, it's too early to even consider planting anything like that. I'd call them up and say, "What the hell are you doing? You shipped this stuff out to me 2 months, 3 months early. No, you need to ship me my order when it's planting time. Because really, there's nothing you can do to keep them going. Onions don't transplant well. It's not like you can stick them in a pot and then plant them later. If you stick them in a pot now, you're going to have to grow them in the pots. Not that you couldn't do that, but I'm guessing you probably got yourself a couple hundred onion sets. So that's going to be difficult. I'd call up Hoss and say, "WTF are you guys doing? Why the hell did you send me my onions already?" Because honestly, if you were starting onions from seed, it's about time to do that. That I mean, this is it. If you're starting from seed, maybe you're starting now. You certainly don't have set stone. James Galbraith. A debt-based system needs places to put debt. When nobody buys it, other countries we take over. Oh, other countries we take over are a good start. Lower rates are on the way. Who's the new Fed head? Okay, this isn't Twitter, so you don't need to make it cryptic. You're not limited to 140 characters. Uh, the debt-based system needs places to put debt. Correct. You have to have buyers to 'em. It's just like anything else. You wanna borrow money, which is what the government is doing, obviously, by selling bonds. If nobody's buying the bonds, then they've gotta raise the rate to get somebody to buy the bonds. That's the risk we face right now because if the dollar gets weaker, nobody's gonna wanna buy the bonds. Nobody's gonna wanna buy our debt, okay? So, when nobody buys it, other countries we take over are a good start. Well, that doesn't do anything. What are we gonna do? Put a puppet government into Venezuela and then say, "Here, your economy is already in shambles, but we're gonna now sell you all our bad debt, so you." That's not gonna work. Where you say lower rates are on the way, that's the difference, is if the Fed's trying to keep rates down because market conditions actually are going to push rates up because of the weakness of the government's weakness of the dollar. That's the push pull that we're in right now. And who's the new Fed head? I have no clue. So I'm not even going to venture a guess on that one because, for all I know, Trump will go out and go, "Hey, you know what? We'll take Kobe Bryant." Well, no, he's dead. LeBron James and make him the Fed chief. Something like that. It'd be somebody completely out there. Who knows? Uh, let's see. Oops. All right. Back up. Sweet shot it down again. Hang on. Oh, come on. Okay, that's roughly where we were. Here we go. Susan M 1224. Would you buy copper? I saw it's gone up $1 within the last few months, $5 to $6 as of today. Okay, but mind you, what that is, it's not $5 to $6 an ounce. That's $5 to $6 a pound. First off, to give you that as an idea. Uh, as I've said before, I own a little bit of copper. I think I've got 200 ounces or 300 ounces of copper. It's nothing significant that I paid 200 or 300 bucks for, about a buck a coin. Uh, the only reason I would even consider it is if you already have plenty of junk silver, constitutional silver, coins. Because it's what it's going to be is what copper. The only thing I could think of would possibly have a use for is the little purchases that you might want to make in an SHTF situation. You're not going to get enough copper to make a difference as an investment. Okay, we just don't have the ability. I mean, if you start thinking about the amount of weight, the amount of space that would take up, you're talking 16 ounces of copper. There's a pound. Okay, and all right, 16 ounces of copper will get you $5. Great. So in order to get $50, I need 10 pounds of copper. Okay, if I want $500, I need 100 pounds of copper. Now start thinking about moving around with that stuff, where you're going to put it. $500 is 100 pounds of copper. $500 right now is 5 ounces of silver. I'd rather have silver. So, can you? Yes. Would I advise it? No, because and it's not that copper is a bad idea to have. Just as an individual, it doesn't have the use, and the hard part you're going to get is trying to sell it because you're not going to a pawn shop and saying, I've got a bunch of copper. Do you want to buy it? If you go back to one of the online bullion dealers or something like that, I mean, just call them up and ask them, hey, what are you giving for paying right now for a 1 ounce copper round? And they'll tell you a buck 20 or something like that. You're going, I paid 3.5 bucks for it. And that'll tell you right there, going, nah, you know what? It's probably not worth it. So, uh, you know, you're gonna it's gonna be very difficult to sell because sure, companies need copper, pipe company or whatever, but they're not going out to the pawn shop and buying a bunch of, you know, copper coins or whatever. Uh Vicky Savage, jewelry at retail is at least 4 to 5 times any reasonable price. Agreed. To buy it, to sell it, you know, it's kind of like a car. What does the value drop as soon as you walk out the door? Think about the wedding band that you bought. It's like, oh, okay, it's just a regular gold band. I spent $500 on that. You take it in and go, I'll give you 30 bucks for it because that's the markup. It's like, all right, what's how much gold is actually in it, or and diamonds the same way. We pay an astronomical amount for a diamond in a woman's engagement ring, but when oh my God, we're getting divorced, I want to go sell my engagement ring. She goes, what do you mean it's only $500? He spent 5 grand on this. Yeah, welcome to markups. Uh Kitsy Witty, can I give us a list of hard assets we should have to prep with besides a bit of cash? Okay, hard assets meaning financial assets or meaning anything that's physical? I'll go, okay, first off, we've talked ad nauseum here tonight already about gold and silver. At least silver. I will agree. I can't afford to be buying gold at 4,500 bucks an ounce either. Okay, and I've mentioned many times why gold backs are a waste of money and fractional gold is a waste of money. Though the people that bought fractional gold maybe about a year ago are going, woohoo! I finally got to break even. People at gold backs are still waiting. But gee, gold was at $2,000 when I bought my gold backs. Yeah, well, the amount of gold you paid for was 6,000 bucks worth, so you still got a while to go. But other things, certainly you want to have cash. Certainly you want to have precious metals. Certainly you want to have ammunition. Okay, I'll go out on a limb and say this, and I know there's going to be plenty of people that disagree with me, and I go back and forth on myself here. Maybe you even have a little bit of ammunition if even if you don't own a gun, and buy something that's common, 5.56, 9 millimeter. Maybe if you want to go to 45 ACP, but I wouldn't go. I'd stick to 5.56 and 9 millimeter. Why? Because chances are that's what you're going to come across in the way of a weapon if the world goes to shit. Okay. And second off, there may be people that are out there to help you in an SHTF situation that will need ammunition. Okay. It'll be your way into a mag or something like that, your entrance fee. I'm just throwing that as an idea. The downside to it is, do I ever want to trade ammo? Gee, I've got a box of ammo. I'll trade it for you for the box of beans. The guy goes, great. You make the trade. He puts a bullet in his gun, goes, bang, you're dead. Now I got the ammo and the beans. So there's the other side of it. So always think about that. But it's something to do. Tools, hand tools, garden tools, shovels, hose, whatever it is, anything like that. Those are things that you need to have. You will be amazed how much you're not going to be able to get done when you realize you don't have basic tools. Hammers, screwdrivers, saws, axes, shovels, that sort of stuff. Yes, you need those. I'm not talking power tools even, though, sure, if you got chainsaw, that's going to be definitely beneficial. But uh, hand tools for certain. Knives, you cannot have enough knives. Okay, and I'm not some knife collector or anything like that. You're gonna have them. You're gonna break them. They're going to get lost. You're going to loan it to somebody who's going to leave it out in the woods, whatever. Plenty of knives, pocket knives, fixed blade knives, etc. I'm not talking kitchen knives. I'm talking field use knives. Those are things that you'd want to have. They're going to be good for barter, and they're definitely the most important tool you're going to have for any sort of survival slash SHDF situation. Shelley Frazier, I know you've told us this before, and I did try to find the answer in your other podcasts, but I could not find it. When should I start cabbage plants, or when should I plant outside in southern Kentucky? Okay, you're close enough to me. I'm going to take a guess that we're the same zones, 6B, 7A. For starting cabbage plants and starting your seed, you're going to be doing that this week. Okay, and when you're going to start them, I would suggest starting them in a minimum in solo cups, because they will get relatively big in the cups relatively quick, and you really don't want to be moving them from seed trays to solo cups and then having to potentially pot them up again. When you're going to put them in the ground, literally, that's the end of February, beginning of March. So if you get them in that quick, it's as long as the temperatures are staying up above 26, 27 consistently, you're ready to get them in the ground. The longer the longer they have to grow in good cold weather like that, the better off you'll be, because as soon as it gets too warm, they stop growing and then all the bugs come out. Right. So, optimal temperatures to grow cabbage is about 60, 65 degrees. They'll do fine down below, slightly below freezing. That's when you want to get them in the ground. They should be heading by the time you're up in the 50s, and you're going to be they'll get big by the time it's up in the 60s. By the time it gets up in the 70s, you're getting eaten by slugs like crazy. Uh, Sharon, 1701. I love your common sense outlook. Thank you. It's I try to live my life by common sense and logic. It gets more and more difficult in the world we live in, but because you look and you go, how in the freaking world did somebody decide to do that? All right, moving on down. Vicky Savage again. Pinball lovage is a perennial substitute for celery. It tastes stronger and is much more nutritious. I've never even heard of lovage. Okay. Uh, Again, like I said, we're not big eaters of celery. So somebody said Bloody Caesars and Bloody Marys. Yeah, I'm not much of a vodka drinker. Maybe occasionally, with oysters, yes, but no. And no, don't none of the Canucks tell me about Clamato juice. Yeah, got it. Okay. Uh Ron Mousetrap, you said you sold silver for property. Did I ever find some? Yeah, there's things that you go back and you kick yourself in the head for. So this was a couple of years ago. Mrs. P and I found a couple acres that looked really nice. We thought, okay, we could build over here. It was probably half an hour away from where we are. And it was literally on the lake. And we thought, okay, maybe we do this and we'd be okay. But we couldn't. We could see the property. We could walk in a little bit, but it was this time of year. So it was the brush was waist high, and it had been rainy and stuff like that. But we're like, okay, this looks good. I talked to some of the neighbors. I even went to one of the neighborhood parties or whatever it was to meet some of the people there. And so we put a bid in on the property, and the sellers accepted our bid. And then a few days later, after it dried out a little bit, we got out to go take a look at the property where we could actually walk and not sink in mud. And we realized the back half of the property at the wood line literally was a cliff that dropped about 50 feet. And it was like the other half of the property was 50 feet below. You had the property went like this, cliff and down here, and we had property over here and property over here. I was like, no, we can't. It's like 2/3 of an acre was 3 stories down. It was like, no, we weren't going to do that, especially with the dogs. Didn't want the, Copper being blind, didn't want him falling over a cliff. So we had busted the deal on it. But I had already made the deal to sell the silver and gold to pay for the property, which I don't remember what I sold the gold for, but we sold, I think it was 300 ounces of silver and 4 ounces of gold. It was 18,000 bucks altogether. And I sold the silver for like 31 bucks an ounce. So, yeah, if you want to talk about kicking myself, we sold it and then we didn't buy the property. We wound up using the money instead to pay off part of DJ's school. Uh, and that was the end of that. But yeah, I still kick myself for that one. Uh, Ann Jennings, where's the best place to sell silver? Sell should we need to sell? I'm assuming you're talking about silver again. The online dealers are going to be the best. I find you guys know I buy from SD or JM Bullion, but I find the best place to sell when I did like in this last story was to AppMex, APMEX, because they gave me the best price, meaning the lowest premiums, and didn't charge as much for shipping and insurance. So the sale I made of all of this was I selling the same amount. I mean, I called local coin shops, I called the bullion dealers, and AppMex was the one that gave me the best price. But the only thing I can say at this point is call around the coin. If you find a coin, you might find a coin shop locally that'll tell you they'll pay you spot. If they do that, run there. Okay. The ones I found here were all trying to go 10 to 15% discount. I told them they were all high. Paying 10 to 15 on the way in. I'm not paying 10 to 15 on the way out. Sorry, it wasn't going to happen. But when I went through AppMex, I was paying 3% on the way out, which, okay, uh, that was fair. Uh, yeah, 96 R. Harris. Obviously, you haven't been here that long. Any suggestions on growing carrots in containers, ground for? I am the last person you want to talk to about growing carrots. I have tried growing carrots here 6 years now, and I can't get more than stubby little pencil thick carrots. Okay. Uh, do not ask me about growing carrots. I'm not going to be the one that's going to be able to tell you how to grow them. That's it. And we always laugh every year because every year I try, and every year here's my little spindly, scrawny carrots. So, backdoor 5993 have started anything for the garden? No. As I told you guys, this year is pretty much going to be a garden rest year for the gardens. I'm going to spend my summer refreshing, replenishing them, just tons and tons and tons of organic matter going in there, cutting weeds, shredding leaves, grass clippings, yada yada yada. And I'm just going to completely try to build up the soil in there because I think after 6 straight years of very concentrated planting, I've really sucked a lot of the life out of the gardens, and I need to get some more. I need to build my soil this year. Uh, Kathy Williams, anybody grow nasturtiums for pollinators and pest deterrents? Me. Okay. I've mentioned this before. Nasturtiums are one of the best things to plant around your cucumbers because they will take the cucumber beetles and the caterpillars, and the caterpillars will leave your cucumbers and they will go for the nasturtiums instead. Nasturtiums are pretty, that's fine, but they're, for all intents and purposes, a sacrificial plant. Put a couple of potted nasturtiums around your cucumbers, and your cucumbers will thank you for it because they won't die. All right. Broken Dolly. Years ago, I bought several gold ingots and sent one in each card for Christmas to family members. Wonder how much a gold ingot is worth now. Uh, Again, the only way you're going to know is if you know how much they weighed at the time. And I don't know if there is a specific weight for one. It's not something that I ever looked into, so I couldn't give you an answer. But yeah, I mean, again, you think of how many times throughout your life. I mean, here's a dumb one. Somebody said this the other day. They were talking about the price of silver and stuff like that. Now, mind you, you guys know I was born in 1966. So any of the coins that were in circulation pretty much before I was born, think about it. If a quarter back then is now worth $1,500 or $15, okay? That means a dollar back then is now worth $60 because you got paid in dollar bills or coins. That was what you had. So if you would have put your money, just you know how some people just take whatever change they have and throw it in a water jug or something like that. Imagine if you did that for 50 years and you go back and on the bottom of that jug is silver coin after silver coin after silver coin. So somebody else made the comment, it's like, oh yeah, take a look at Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company. This makes me sick. All right. So when I finished AIT in the Army, Advanced Individual Training, I had a sign-on bonus with the Army. It was $4,000. Okay. And back in 1986, 4,000, when I finished AIT, I think it was 86. It was beginning 87. Because I went in 85 language school and interrogation school. So it was the beginning of 87. $4,000 was a lot of money, especially when at the time I was what, 21? This will make you sick. If I would have taken that $4,000 and bought Berkshire Hathaway stock in 1987, it would be worth right about $1 million today. Okay, give you that. But even if I would have taken $4,000 and bought silver, what it would be worth, but quarters, that was it, what it would be worth. Yes. North Alabama hiking. My garden my garden struggled last year. I thought of getting a soil sample done. What do you suggest in regards to the best spots to get the sample from the garden, and how many should I send? Okay, so yeah, if you got an ag college around somewhere, your local uh, co-op can help you with something like that. But ask them specifically. But usually, what you're going to need to tell them is you can get the soil tests on your own. They're okay. I've shown you guys how to do the test before, but yeah, if your garden's struggling, sure, get the pros to do it. They can get a lot more in depth. They'll tell you what to add. Uh, but what you need to do is take multiple samples from each garden. They may tell you 4, they may tell you 6, depending on how big the gardens are. And then you also need to tell them what you're going to grow in that garden because, if you're going to grow tomatoes, that's a total different soil profile that you need than if you're growing blueberries. Blueberries needing a very acidic soil. Uh, so it's not a one size fits all, and this is why so many of you guys have asked me for my fertilizer schedule. Because some need a very alkaline soil, some need a very acidic soil. Whether the plant needs high potassium, high nitrogen, high phosphorus. You know, different plants are going to need different nutrients. So, yeah, you need to tell them, it's not just here's my soil, tell me what I need. It's here's my soil, this is what I plan on planting in this place. Tell me what I need. So, but I'd ask them how many do this is the size of my garden. You're doing a 4x8 garden. Okay, how many do you need? Give me 2 samples. I got a 40x80 garden. They're gonna probably say, give me a dozen of them. So, that's the other part of it. Uh Barry Kramer fastball. I agree with all you said about people blocking you and trying to stop you, but is the law on our side as patriots? Well, that's what I said at the beginning. And again, it depends on where you live. Okay. And for me, Tennessee is a stand your ground and a castle doctrine state. And the way Tennessee views castle doctrine is that includes your car. Okay. It's not just your house. So, as I said, if you got all these people surrounding my car and they're just screaming and yelling at me, I don't give a damn. I'll just crank up the stereo and I'll blast an AC/DC at them to make their heads spin. Uh, Somebody pulls out a baseball bat, I'm shooting, and I've got to stand my ground on my side. I felt threatened. I'm in a confined space, and they're coming at me, standing up with a full swing baseball bat. It's only a woman. I don't care. A woman can certainly do some serious damage to you with a bat, but you know, you need to know the laws of your state, and you need to know what you are legally able to do. You know, Florida, I mean, they made the law so if they're blocking the road, it's illegal or it's legal to run them over. Okay, that ain't legal in Tennessee, but, again, you're threatening me. I'm going to not start the fight, but I'll finish it, and, you need to know what you can and can't do. SMA tactical. I feel like it's starting to get dangerous just to go out. How much more dangerous do you think it's going to get? I've been talking about this for months, and I agree with you. It's getting more and more dangerous. And as I said in the video the other day, where the leftists are actually coming up and starting to put posts on TikTok and Instagram and Blue Sky and Facebook and everything, telling people we need to start going to these protests armed and we need to start shooting people and stuff like that. If that happens, expect utter chaos because the first gunfight between an ICE agent and a libtard ain't gonna go well for the libtard, but that's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back, and then it's just gonna be the Wild West out in the streets. Again, you need to know where you're going, what's going on. If there's a protest at 3rd and Main, do yourself a favor and don't go to 3rd and Main, okay? You know, maybe a year ago it was fun to go pick on them. Now they're actively getting violent, and I mean, every day we're seeing pictures of these libtards out there getting violent. Throwing stuff at cars, the cops, attacking people in the street. You know, we really we need to start doing a whole lot of handcuffs. But it's my First Amendment right to protest. Yes, it is. It's not your First Amendment right to attack other people, to be violent, and to be a public nuisance. So uh, Joseph Cook turned my excess corn into moonshine. Bought a motorized grain grinder. Oh, trust me, I've got the grinder. I've got the still. I've got everything. That's exactly why I grew it to make cornmeal and to turn it into moonshine. Uh, and it's all in Mylar bags and it's fine. And I'm not going to grind it up till I'm ready to do it, but it's put away and ready to go when I need it to go. And yes, I let the corn dry out ridiculously long, so I don't have to worry about anything there. Uh, Shot to the bottom, right? That's Oh, here we go. Adam Hoffman, 1986. He could have bought boxes of Fleer basketball cards and cornered the market on Michael Jordan rookies. Never, I've never been a basketball fan. Okay, never cared for the sport whatsoever. I lived in Chicago when Jordan was there. Didn't care. Knew who he was and everything like that. But rah rah, go Bulls. But didn't care. One thing I did have uh, when we were kids is we would buy sports cards, and I had a box of hockey cards that I bought. Oh, it must have been like 1981, 82, somewhere in there, early 80s when I was still could have been even 1980 for that matter. I don't remember exactly when. And we had gone through, they've been sitting in a box in mom and dad's basement for probably 2 decades, and somewhere in my 30s, I went through them. I said, "No, well, go take a look what's in it." Sure enough, in there was a Wayne Gretzky rookie card. Unfortunately, the condition it was in, I got a whopping 50 bucks for it. But again, that was probably late 90s, thereabouts. And I've seen some of those things now, they'll go for 20, 30,000 bucks. Uh, yeah, there's always things that, coulda, woulda, shoulda, didn't. Let's see. Eric Witt, what should I do to virgin soil before I try and garden this year up in the mountains at my land? Just a small 50-foot long and 12-foot wide to get the soil ready. Okay, if this is just bare ground ready, uh, the absolute first thing I would do to it is till it up somehow. I mean, for what you're talking, I'm guessing you've got a small tractor. If you can uh, disc it or something, and I would throw all the clippings, the leaves, the weeds, anything like that that you could find in on top of it, and mix all that together. Because if it's just native soil, there's probably not a whole lot of nutrients in it. Get some organic matter in there. Uh, then I would hit it with a good dose of preen to make sure that you're not getting any weed seeds or anything to germinate in there. But I would turn the living crap out of that, and at least to a depth of 12 inches. If you're talking about native soil, or not at least to a depth of 12 inches. Uh, Vicky, in the Ozarks, my number one crop is rocks. Yeah, it's the same here. So we're right there with you. Pick them all up, go out and grow them again. Tracy K 2105. What is the plant to plant around cucumbers? I missed the beginning of your answer. It's nasturtium. Nasturtium. Try that again. Nasturtium. Uh, Prep, that's a good tip. If you plant tomatoes, plant basil around your tomato plants. Yes, basil. I mean, first off, you love to use basil and tomatoes together to make spaghetti sauce, but basil will also keep the bugs away from your tomato plants. So that's a good tip right there. Okay, I'm looking at the clock as best I can see. Vicky, can I send you a carrot growing manual from Danny in Deep South? It's not honestly what I think it is my soil. I've even tried making the sandy soil. I think I showed you a few years ago. I tried the way the guy grows the world record carrots out of Ireland or Scotland or wherever he was from. It I've tried a dozen different types of carrots. Uh, I just don't know. you know, you can send it to me. I will certainly look through it. I doubt it's going to help me though. I just say probably don't waste the money on the postage. Okay. Yes. Proper was saying again. I grow nasturtiums and marigolds in every garden. They're my trap crop. Exactly. Mary Owenby, do I think crypto is a good investment? Okay, this is a tough one to answer because I'm and all being all honest here, I do own a little bit of crypto, of Bitcoin. That's the only one. Okay. The reason I own it is for diversity, for my own reasons. I've got gold and silver, I've got mutual funds, I've got stocks. It's just I know my risk tolerance and my financial goals. As a human being, certainly with a financial professional background, would I recommend anybody to buy Bitcoin? I'd be very hard pressed to it because of the risk involved in it. I know the demographics of this channel, and considering most of the people that watch this channel are my age or older, like two-thirds of us are, we don't have the time to wait for if Bitcoin drops 60% like it's done many times, we don't have the time to wait for it to come back like you do if you're 20 or 30. If you have everything under control and you want to take a flyer, okay, I'm not going to say no. But would I put it on my list of things that, yeah, it's a prep to have? Nope. Okay. I'd rather see everybody have $500,000 in gold and silver before they have any Bitcoin. And before anybody says, "Well, but Bitcoin this or Bitcoin that," I'd be like, "And Bitcoin was down 8% last year, and silver was up 150. So do not tell me how silver and gold are boring and Bitcoin is the money of the future." Okay, not that past performance is any guarantee of future results, but there is not only Bitcoin doesn't only go up. I'm trying to be as straightforward as possible on that one. P. Lejo, is there any advantage to offering silver to pay for gold? Yes, sometimes. And this is where the gold to silver ratio comes in. And I mean, for years, you heard, I mean, and when I'm saying years, I'm talking 40, okay, that 80-to-1 ratio was pretty much where we'd look at. That was the benchmark, 80 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. And so people, if it was above or below, they'd shift. It's like, oh, okay, I can buy, an ounce of gold with only 76 ounces of silver. Okay, great. Oh, I can trade an ounce of gold for 95 ounces of silver. Okay, great. And they'd kind of arbitrage it like that. The problem is right now we're down around 55 to 1. And so the old rule book is thrown out. And, people are going, well, I could buy an ounce of gold for only 55 ounces of silver now. That's a steal. But as I said in numerous times we've talked about, gold has one use primarily, monetarily. Okay. Yes, there's a little bit of gold used in electronics, not significantly much. Okay. Silver is used industrial and monetarily. So again, fair value for silver is at a 15-to-1 ratio, roughly. I mean, silver's got a lot more upside to it than gold does right now. Are there advantages? Sometimes, yes, but I'm guessing for the most part, you and me, we don't own enough of it to make it worth our while. I mean, I don't know, maybe you do. Uh, but it that's when you gotta figure, okay, which one do I figure is going to appreciate more? And this is where you can know percentages, not dollars. Oh, I think silver's gonna go up 20% this year, but I think gold's gonna go up 40% this year. Oh, okay, then I'd rather have more gold, and I can buy it cheap now with you buy the silver. And you can start playing that arbitrage. But now you're getting into kind of talking about currency swaps, that kind of trading, currency trading and things like that. You may be right, you may be wrong. So, one more here. Let's see. See one more if I can find one more. Back to basics kitchen. Okay. Do I think Trump is going into the Lions Den at Davos next week? I think it's going to be kind of like JD Vance going in there and saying, "You guys are all smoking peace pipe. No, we're not participating in your climate change BS. no, we're not, you know, and I, if he's smart, go in there and go, do whatever you want with all your World Economic Forum stuff. Just don't count on the United States participating. We're gonna have nothing to do with it. I I'd kind of bet that's what he's gonna something along those lines because the World Economic globalism, rah, rah, rah. Trump's like globalism, rah, rah, rah. Okay. So yeah, he's probably going because it's a head honcho type thing, but I certainly don't expect him to bend the knee to whoever Klaus Schwab's handpicked lackey is. Be interesting. All right, gang. That is 9 o'clock. Have a good evening. We'll see you in the morning. Pinball.